Gaming Gig Extras channel. I never use this channel, but I thought, I'd start doing some of these videos where I just kind of talk to camera, kind of ramble about something that I'm thinking about at the time, and, just kind of use this as an opportunity to practice doing this, because I'd like to make this type of video where I can just kind of talk to camera, kind of talk about whatever is important in the gaming sphere at the time. I'd like to maybe do some of these videos on the main channel, but right now I haven't done this. And so I kind of want to experiment with this format. Anyways, I'm rambling about doing this, but that's why this is on the Gaming Gig Extras channel, a channel that basically has, very few subscribers. I really don't have to worry about putting out a video that gets a lot of views, nothing like that. I'm just kind of putting out a video where I can talk about whatever is happening in the gaming, news at the moment, something that maybe I haven't even fully formed my thoughts on, but have some ideas and want to talk about. And today, I want to talk about Game Pass, and I want to talk about the possibility of Xbox reworking Game Pass so that the tiered structure is different. Now, this conversation has come up because of Call of Duty. We know that there is going to be a Call of Duty this year. And of course, it hasn't been officially announced, but we know that a Call of Duty is coming this year, this holiday likely, and it's going to be announced probably here in a few weeks, in June during the whole Summer Games Fest timeline. And we know that Xbox is putting a showcase out, and it's been teased that they're going to, do at the end of that, they're going to do a full breakdown of a game and an established franchise. Everyone has worked out that it's going to be Call of Duty. So we know a Call of Duty game is coming. And although I don't really care that much about whatever Call of Duty game they're going to put out, I have no intention just to play it. What I am really interested in is what they are going to do with this Call of Duty when it comes to Game Pass. Are they going to put Call of Duty into Game Pass? If they do, it will be such a huge move for them, because they are basically saying hey, this game that normally sells like gangbusters, we know it's normally the best selling game of the year, almost every year for the past decade or more, except last year, Call of Duty has been the number one selling game every year. And it's not even close usually. We had Hogwarts Legacy last year come in and dethrone Call of Duty for a lot of reasons that happened. One, Call of Duty came out way late in the year. Hogwarts Legacy came out at the very beginning of last year, so it had a lot of time to build up sales. And so that's probably why that happened. But still, it was, technically Hogwarts Legacy was a better selling game last year. But anyways, so we know that Call of Duty is a complete moneymaker, just makes all kinds of money. And if they put it on Game Pass, that's going to be a lot of revenue loss, because Game Pass is pretty cheap. I think that the, Game Pass right now you can get into for as little as, I think, $10 or $11. I don't know exactly. I want to say it's $9.99 for Game Pass console, maybe $9.99 for Game Pass PC, but maybe it's $10. Maybe they bumped it up. I don't know. And then, of course, there's Game Pass Ultimate, which is, I think, around $15, $16 a month. And there's Game Pass Core, which is only a couple bucks a month, but it's basically not part of Game Pass. That's like Xbox Live Gold. That's the new name for it. But anyways, so if they put that in there, Call of Duty is going to lose a lot of money, I think, because I think that the Game Pass model is inherently just not as lucrative as something like selling a game that we know is going to sell really well physically on the shelves. Game Pass just isn't going to bring that kind of money in unless the people who subscribe to Game Pass, assuming that they weren't already, subscribe to Game Pass and then stay with it long term. Now, I'm not saying that people won't do that. There will be certainly people who do subscribe to Game Pass for Call of Duty and then stick with it long term instead of just buying the game outright. And in that case, they might make more money than if they had just sold the game physically. But I think that is going to be the exception and not the rule. I'd say that most people are going to, if they're going to get Game Pass just to play Call of Duty, they probably aren't going to stick with it long term. But I'd say a majority of people already have Game Pass, or at least people who want Game Pass probably already have Game Pass. So I say all this to say that I think that this is a lot of money left on the table. So there has been some news that has come out through some insiders saying, and I'm going to show here, I'm looking at the article on VGC, but basically, this article is saying that last week, the Wall Street Journal had an insider say that there will be changes to the Call of Duty structure. Right now, yeah, it says here, right now, Game Pass can be available at as little as $11 a month, but there will be changes. And the main thing that people are thinking instantly when they think about this is that they are going to add a more expensive tier that's going to have Call of Duty in it. So right now, the most expensive tier is Game Pass Ultimate. And like I said, that's around $15, $16 a month. And they're saying maybe there's going to be a more expensive tier on top of that has Call of Duty. Now, that seems like a big ask to me for a company to do, to say, hey, you can play our game on Game Pass, but you're going to pay more for it than if you were to just have a normal Game Pass subscription. Like if you have Game Pass already, you're going to have to pay more, or those who want to come in just to play Call of Duty are going to have to pay more, maybe more like $20 a month. And at that point, the value proposition for playing the game on Game Pass versus just buying the game becomes a lot harder pill to swallow, And I think that it's going to be a really bad look for Microsoft if they do that. But, there's not any exact news in here in terms of how they're going to restructure, which has made some people, suppose that maybe it isn't that they're going to make, maybe they will make a higher tier, but maybe they may just restructure Game Pass as is. Like they may just use this as an opportunity to say, hey, what we have right now is kind of confusing. Maybe we should restructure Game Pass so that it's more clear for the consumer and it's, easy to understand and you can get in. And then maybe even have an option for Game Pass to be cheaper, not more expensive. And maybe even have an option for Game Pass to be free. And that's what's really interesting to me. Because what about an ad-driven model where you could have a version of Game Pass that is free, but there are ads that are shown? They'd probably be shown all over the place. So while you're browsing, and then probably even before you go into a game, it might even stop you mid-game to show ads, or when you're done with the game, it'll probably be showing you ads all over the place if this were to happen. And I'm not saying this is purely just like, supposition. I thought about this when I was watching Newswave this morning on, John on Spawnwave was saying that maybe there's going to be a free version when they restructure. And I think this is a really interesting idea because obviously the idea of Game Pass being free seems on its surface like just a crazy thing to do. But, ads can make a lot of money. There can be, maybe an ad-driven plan. They might be able to make Game Pass free, or maybe they can make it really cheap, just a couple bucks a month. And then you can play, all these games. You just have to watch ads. I think there are a certain demographic of people who would be interested in doing that kind of thing. I know that I'm super cheap. I don't like to spend money. I like to game as cheap as possible. And for me, I think that playing something like Game Pass for free definitely seems appealing, but I also hate, and I mean despise, ads. I pay for YouTube Premium so that I don't have to watch ads. I don't like watching just cable television because there's ads like every few minutes. I hate ads. I really cannot stand them. And I've pretty much gotten to a place in my life where I don't see ads very much. I maybe see ads on websites, but I use ad blockers. Right now, you can see that I'm using Opera GX to browse this website, and there are no ads because I have look there, one popped up. Never mind. What is going on here? Do I have ads turned off? Or maybe this is let's see here. Sorry to get this. This is Gaming Geek Extras. I can do this for a second. I can go in here and see if I have ad blocker turned off here. Block ads. Oh my gosh, it was turned off. Why would I have block ads turned off? Anyways. So normally I block ads. That's pretty funny. Look, even though I've blocked ads, there's still ads. Anyways. Go back to say I hate ads. But I don't know. I would be so torn at the idea of Game Pass, like having the option of having Game Pass be free, but just knowing that I had to watch ads. I don't know, like would the cheapskate side of me win out, or would that hater of ads win out for me? I don't know. I really don't. If this were to happen, it would be crazy. But it is true that right now, Game Pass is a little unstructured. Like, it's a little strange. We've got Game Pass Core, which isn't really Game Pass. It's like a preset library of, I don't know, maybe like 20 games. I don't know, maybe more than that, maybe less. You've got just a set amount of games, and they're legacy games, nothing new. And then you've got Game Pass Console and PC, which are basically like the same thing, except you can only play some games on PC and some games on console. And they're the same price, but it's just, what platform are you playing on? That, to me, is the confusing part. I think that they could have just one level of Game Pass, like they do with Ultimate, which goes between PC and console, and it just be that one price. I don't understand why you have them separated right now. That, to me, is a little messy. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense for them. It probably does, and it makes sense for the consumer, but it's still a little messy. Like, if you have Game Pass PC, it doesn't translate to Xbox, and vice versa. If you have Game Pass console, it doesn't translate to PC. I think it's kind of silly. And then you have Game Pass Ultimate, which of course is across both PC and console. And it also gives you the option for like cloud, for playing on cloud and stuff like that. And I don't think there are any exclusive games to that. I think it's just that you get to play in both places, and you can do the cloud stuff, and you can do the remote play stuff. So, no, maybe not remote play. I think remote play is available for everybody, but the cloud stuff for sure. So it's something. I guess it's an improvement. I think that if they were to clean up, like if they were to clean up Game Pass and have some options that made more sense to the consumer, I do think the free option would be an interesting option. So let's say they go into that and they say, hey, Game Pass, there's a free way to play. You still have Game Pass Core, which is like, for console player. Man, you know what? I'm interested in this. I'm thinking about it more. I'm thinking about this on the spot. Okay, let's go back. Yeah, you have free. We're going to start low and go high. You have free, which would be ad driven. And if you wanted to do that, obviously you'd have that. And then above that, maybe they get rid of Core. Core is kind of dumb anyway. It's like $5 a month. Maybe it's more than $5 a month. Maybe it's like closer to 10. It's ridiculous. Core makes no sense. I think I paid $5 because I bought like gift cards to make it cheaper. And then, I don't know, it was crazy, but maybe get rid of Core. Then you have just regular Game Pass, which is like standard stock Game Pass, which they probably would put a bump on it, maybe bump it a few dollars so that it translates across console and PC. It's just Game Pass. And then you have Game Pass Ultimate, which is going to give you access to maybe day one games. Maybe they get rid of day one games in the other. Like they have Call of Duty, they have, those sort of things. And it's a more expensive tier, maybe like significantly more expensive, maybe more on that $17, $18, $19, $20, somewhere around there. So you basically have a free, you have the standard, and you have the deluxe. That's very clear. And if they did that, I think that it would make more sense to the consumers who knew what they were kind of getting into. If they want these day one releases and they use Call of Duty as an opportunity to get in there at an expensive price point, I'm not saying I would be happy about that, but it would at least be super clear. And then they have a regular stock Game Pass, which maybe they can keep at that cheap price. If they got rid of day one releases, maybe they could get it down to where it's like $10 a month. You just have tons of games. And of course, you'd have all those games that are already in there because they're no longer day one. And then you'd have a free version that was basically Game Pass, but with ads. I could see that being an interesting thing. I'm not sure, how I would feel about that personally, but it would clean things up. And I do like the idea of them offering some sort of free thing, because there are people who $10 a month is too much to swing. I know I don't pay for Game Pass all the time because, it's $10 a month, and there's infrequently games on there that I want to be playing all the time. So what I do is I subscribe when I want to play a game, and then I unsubscribe as soon as I'm done. And then I just play it for, pay for 1 month. That's what I'm going to be doing with Hellblade 2, and that comes out here in a few days. And it saves me a lot of money to do it that way. I don't stay subscribed indefinitely, because otherwise I'm just, throwing away my money, especially if I'm only playing something like one game on it, like say Sea of Thieves, It just isn't worth it to me. But a free version would be at least, here's what I could do. Maybe you could have the free version all the time, and then when you really want to play a game, you don't want ads, you spring for the more expensive one for 1 month and then drop back down to free. I could see myself doing something like that for real. So I don't know. This is really interesting. I would like to know what you think. What do you think? What would you have Game Pass do? What would you do if you were Xbox? If you had Call of Duty and you know that you are torn between, do I put it on Game Pass? because we've said all our games come to Game Pass day one, knowing that you are going to lose so much money if you do that, or you're very likely going to? Or would you, how would you rework this? Because it is a conundrum. Xbox have found themselves in a situation where it is a lose-lose. They're going to lose money if they put it on Game Pass. They're going to lose Game Pass subscribers, and they're going to lose faith in their customers if they don't put it on Game Pass. What do you do? Is there a solution here? Is reworking Game Pass the solution? I don't know, but it's all really interesting. I'm intrigued by the idea of a free version. I'm intrigued by the idea of them reworking Game Pass. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you like these rambly videos. I don't know if I like them or not. I just wanted to try it and see. And like I said, that's why I'm putting on the Gaming Geek Extras channel. I want to see how this works, see how this goes. Let me know if you like this kind of stuff. Until next time, guys, Randy, see ya.